The importance of scientific journals is to distribute scientific information. In today's world where there's internet and lots of information available, people might argue that we don't need them anymore, but I would say that probably the value of scientific journals over just general information being distributed is that you have reviewers and editors who are trained in a particular field who can actually validate the conclusions, who can say that yes, the methods are correct and the conclusions are sound. And so I think that there is still a place for a journal in today's world to provide reporting of scientific discoveries that have been verified. At Science, we can publish only 5% of the papers that we receive, so it's very challenging to be published there, and many, many excellent and exciting papers must be rejected. But what we are trying to find are papers that represent a conceptual advance, so actually push their field forward in terms of understanding and maybe change the way we think about a particular question or field, or really increase our understanding of something that has been relatively unknown. So most researchers want to publish in Science because science helps you get a job or a promotion or tenure. But I would argue that a better reason to publish in a paper in a journal like Science is because it is a broad science journal. So if your work is sort of easily accessible and broadly important to researchers that may be not in your exact field, then it is a good target for Science. It is a good way to distribute your results widely. Many people will read it. And so besides impact factor, there's other categories that make it important. So this broad interest, widely distributed. And then I would argue because it is published by AAAS, which is a nonprofit with the mission of increasing scientific understanding and education, that's a good journal to support. Scientific journals generally are not published at the level that children can access them, but I would say increasingly there's translation between the pure science work and more accessible components of the research. So certainly scientific journals can provide research studies that can be translated for children. Yeah, I think that's a question that should be maybe thought of more, is how we can better make scientific information that's published within journals available to children. But one way to do that, I think, is through teacher education, and that's something that Science is very involved with, and I think is a good way to get this kind of information presented in a way that children can access. Well, the most difficult parts for me were a few. So the first one is that because it's a full-time editing position, I had to give up my research, which was not so exciting, particularly because I'm a field biologist, so I used to spend a lot of time in the field, and I really miss that quite a bit. The second thing that's difficult is that you are reading a lot. I read 75 to 100 papers a week. So you're always reading, always handling papers. They never stop. It's like the post office. You just finish them and then more come. And then another thing that's very difficult is that I have to reject papers all day long from a lot of people. And I know that those rejections have an impact on those people's lives. So that's not an easy part. My name is Sacha Vignieri, and I'm a senior editor at the journal Science.